Hello and welcome back to Movie Theater Explorer. This is Brent, your Movie Theater Explorer here, and today I'm going to share some of the more recent movies that I've seen both in theaters as well as my home theater. And then at the end of the episode, I will be talking about just discussing a question I have jotted down. And this question I've jotted down is going to be more in connection with CinemaCon, which I actually didn't get to attend, but I did pay attention to some of the announcements and all that, and there's just one thing that got brought up that I found kind of intriguing. So anyway, I appreciate you tuning in today and listening in, and whether you listen for a review or just whatever the case may be, I just appreciate your time. Anyway, um, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Um, the first one I wanted to discuss is, I did discuss it last episode. I'll just discuss it again. I did see Super Mario Galaxy movie. I did see it a couple more times. Mainly the both times were just with different groups of friends that wanted to see it. So we went to go see it. I joined both times. One of them was an IMAX, and the other one was in just a normal standard theater. So again, obviously, IMAX was definitely the far superior version way to watch it, just because of like just how massive the scale can be for a lot of the space sequences and all that, which is a lot of the movie. But again, just being immersed in the world is definitely a lot of fun. It's like, again, I think I shared my thoughts before. Basically, the story is very chaotic, very messy. It's Yeah, so it's basically all over the place. But what it makes up in is just the fun experience that you're taking in. Just basically one big roller coaster ride. Um, and seeing all like, and it's definitely loaded with references and to connections to not just Mario games, but even a few like other Nintendo games. And those have seen it probably have either known the ones that are more in the forefront, and there's other ones that are going on in the background. There's one that actually I was trying to spot. I thought I spotted at one point. I don't know if I necessarily did, but I yeah, I think I heard it was later on, like it happened at another point instead. And this reference is definitely one of those that I'm like, I do want to rewatch it at some point. I probably won't rewatch it again in theaters. But I am planning to pick this one up because I think it would just look cool in a home theater. So, um, and obviously, like the colors, the everything are just really cool. So it's definitely it's a fun theater going experience. Like if you go in knowing what you're going in for, you know that it's that you're not tuning in really for the story, but you're more tuning in for the experience, or going in for the experience and just wanting to see a lot of fun um, Mario or Nintendo related Easter eggs. So it's a fun movie for that. So, and I still think it's worth checking out for that reason. Um, and again, like I said, you just have to set your expectations accordingly. So, um, those are just my thoughts on just rewatches for Super Mario Galaxy. The next one I'm going to discuss is a movie called Cave of Forgotten Dreams. I had not seen this one before. It did come out years ago. Um, I think it came out like, I think in 2010, I think. And just a little bit of a history on this movie. This is a 3D documentary by, I hope I say the name right, Werner Herzog. Um, and I mean, he's directed quite a few movies throughout his career. Um, he played he was in Jack Reacher. If the first Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise, if you've seen that. Um, but anyway, he I haven't seen a lot of his movies, but anyway, so he did direct this documentary and he narrates it, and so what he decided to do, because he um I'm gonna try to pull up the information regarding which cave it is, so I can give you a little more of information on what it is. Okay, so it's exploring the Chavat Cave in France. So, and there's a lot of human paintings in there, which is why he wanted to check it out. And I think after seeing like the capabilities of 3D, he decided to try to capture in 3D to help try to immerse us into the experience. I did not see it initially when it came out, but I heard about the re-release and I was just like, you know what, I want to check this out. I've heard about it, and so it was an IMAX 3D. It's I think my understanding it was playing on the 15th. I think it's playing one more day in IMAX, and then I think I think maybe next weekend it's going to start playing in more theaters. Not in IMAX, I don't think, but in regular theaters, probably 3D. Um, and it was just like, again, seeing an IMAX 3D overall was just a really cool experience. Just, I mean, the one thing, like, I did admit that I think the first like 10 minutes when it's using normal cameras, or maybe not as, I mean, it's not like the big 3D cameras that they ended up using, but I think it was just one that just feeling the movement like in an IMAX theater probably was a little bit like it was, yeah, it was definitely a bit much for me there. But but once we got into the cave, like it if you've probably seen the movie, you probably know what I mean. It's just the shaky cam idea, but anyway, it's just like the first 10, really just for the first 10 minutes, and then the rest of it is all good, all smooth, all everything. And actually maybe more 5 minutes, but it not that long. Um, yeah, I think 3 to 5 minutes for where just obviously you're working with a regular camera, just trying to approach the cave and all that. But when you stop and start looking at all the cave walls and everything, and just feeling that depth and dimension of the cave was awesome. It was just like really great, and then just seeing the curves of all the paintings and all that was just really cool. It felt it felt like very immersive and very impressive, and also like I think just the sound of it was very well, definitely massive in some areas, but more just, oh man, what's the word that I want to use, but just def like definitely a lot to it. Definitely definitely more expansive, definitely way more impressive. Like the score is definitely way more, like definitely more atmospheric, and everything. So overall, I think it was just a really cool documentary, and it's one like if you have the opportunity to see it in theater, you have an interest in checking it out. I do highly recommend checking this documentary out, whether in IMAX or even just in a, like if you can see it in 3D, it's really cool that way. If you feel like you can't handle the 3D, just seeing it in a regular theater, I think is really cool. This is still a really cool documentary to see, but I think the 3D is still very much worth it. I did mention the first like probably 3, 5, maybe 10 minute, no, 3 to 5 minutes. Um, that might have been a little bit too much for me. But overall, I mean, once you get past those 3, 5 minutes early on in the movie, it's all incredible. And just a lot of the interviews that are given are just really like informative on their roles and what they're noticing and things like that are really cool. So overall, it's just a really cool documentary. So those that have an interest in seeing, I do highly recommend checking it out again, like I said. But yeah, those are my thoughts right there on that. The next movie I saw in theaters was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It was playing in theaters for I think for at least a couple of days, and or maybe it's playing for a few days. It was just playing in a local Cinemark nearby, so I decided to go see it because I I was looking to see how many people were going to this theater, and it was definitely like a pretty like it was a very small auditorium, but it definitely felt like there was quite a few people that were there. So I wanted to kind of be in a pretty good sized or fairly packed auditorium, and because again, I've watched this movie a lot growing up as a kid. Okay, actually, I think I saw it later on. I think I saw it in my college years, and but I enjoy rewatching this movie. This one's just it's a really fun movie. I think a lot of you may have seen it. If you haven't, this is one. If you like John Hughes movies, this is one you should definitely see. Um, Again, it's got a lot of humor. It's got a good story overall. Um, I don't want to spoil too many of the narrative points. I might go into a couple little things here and there, but which I'll try to, in case you don't want anything spoiled, I'll say spoiler near the end of my review of this. Anyway, but though it's just real. The cool thing about it was just being in a theater where a bunch of us were just laughing, and at various moments. I think some of these moments you probably know what they are, um, and they're really funny moments. This is actually not my first time seeing this movie in a theater. The first time I saw it was a few years ago, but it was definitely like there was only just a few of us in there, but it was still cool to see it that way. This one was just definitely like I think this one was a small auditorium than the one that I went to a few years ago, but this one just had more people in it. It was just fun to hear just the reactions throughout the movie. Um, and then um, again, I'm not too. I heard like one sound that I never noticed before, and again, I don't know if it was just like, hey, maybe outside the walls. This is outside of the walls of the theater or a different auditorium. This was going on, but I thought I heard a car driving by, and I think it makes sense. Like, um, where it took, it's just very subtle. Like it's something I never picked up before. Anyway, um, just okay. Spoilers in case you don't want anything ruined, but just a few things that I never picked up on before. First off, the car that's at the beginning of the movie when the sister, I think, drives off. I think you can hear the car driving off, and I never noticed it before, um, unless that was something else going on, and I just picked up something that wasn't. But I think that sounds like the moment where it takes place at the beginning of the movie makes sense. Anyway, but the other thing that I did notice, and it's something I never noticed before, and it's basically in front of you. It's just not it's definitely a good portion of the frame at the beginning of the movie when the parents are leaving Ferris's house or Ferris's room to take off after they discover he's so-called sick. Um, you can see the trench coat in the glasses that he uses later on to pick up Salone from the high school. So and anyway, the reason this was definitely really um, what I really liked about it was like again just noticing like just a little reference there, something that would be used later on, and it's something I completely for didn't I've never noticed before that it was there, and I've watched this quite a few times. So, um, and then the other thing is basically again this is more sound related, but just near the end when Cameron Ferris and Stallone are trying to basically try to put the car speedometer back into its normal place or to its normal speeds or normal mileage, so Cameron's father wouldn't find out they took the car. It's just again the presence. it's something I think you probably would have noticed before. It's just something I was more just processing during that moment, but just more like the idea of how the present, like the car engine running, and just how it continues to run, um, as like they're talking and all that, and just like realizing how much of a presence this car was having in the moment. Obviously, before they approached the check on the car, like when Cameron was like talking about how he was in the moment where he started rethinking things over, you could probably kind of hear it in a little bit, but you're more the more ambient sounds of like the nature and all that, just more he was more at peace, and then approaching the car where the car's sound was more up front, and then obviously kicking out the car, and obviously when he killed the car basically, and obviously you can hear all the nature sounds and all that, and at that moment where he kind of goes like, no, I want to take it, I want this kind of thing. um Great movie. I'm pretty sure if you've listened this far, you've probably seen this many times before. So um but yeah, if you want to experience this in the movie theater, I think there's another day it's playing at Cinemark locations, I want to say. um and I again, I think I see my local Cinemark playing it on a Monday, on this coming Monday, and then at the time of recording this episode, and then I I'm pretty sure like it's probably just not my local Cinemark. It's probably a few other Cinemarks that might be nearby. Um, Pretty limited, but if you have an opportunity to experience this movie in a movie theater, it's definitely a fun time. So I do highly recommend trying to seek it out in a movie theater if you haven't. Okay, moving on to movies I've seen in my home theater. The first one, The Ten Commandments. I've known about this movie for a very long time. I had never seen it before, so I um, I picked it up a few years ago, and I felt like I picked up on 4K Ultra HD, and I felt like it was time to watch this movie. So I decided to go and watch this movie, and again, like it is basically the movie um, about Moses, about the Book of Exodus, or at least good portions of it. And I think they do take some liberties and all that. But regardless, it's Charlton Heston. This is released in 1956. This is basically one of their big scale epics that they made during that time. And so overall, I was really like, all right. So I let me just describe it. Like first off, it's a 4 hour epic. Let me describe it this way: the the movie, like the epicness of the sets, the scale of how things are captured and presented, and everything was all like elaborate, like all grand and massive and very, very impressive. Like there are certain sequences um, where you're noticing them trying to pull up a pillar of stone, like a pillar that they were trying to put up, and just how like just the scale of like that presentation. I was watching my dedicated home theater, so on a projected screen, and just feeling that scale was impressive. And again, I will admit there are special effects that feel dated in the movie. Spoiler alert, but the red, in case you haven't seen it or you know nothing about it, but I'm pretty sure you know what I'm going to refer to. The parting of the Red Sea near the end. Um, it's definitely like, hey, for its time, it's definitely impressive what they were able to do, and obviously you know the limitations there. I do have to add this. I could tell like the effects may not have been that effect may not have been as impressive visually today, or probably in the last like 10 years. I do have to admit the sound, just feeling in my home theater, the sound of it actually helped sell the experience a little bit, that I was like, hey, looked a little bit dated, but I feel like the sound kind of made up for that limitation. Um, so yeah, but again, one moment I actually really did like when Moses talks to the Lord in the burning bush, and in just that moment, like just the how very I feel like it was handled in a very reverent moment, and just like again, it's like in the sound of like my home theater, it sounded very quiet, but like it's like you could still hear it, like you could hear his voice. It's definitely somewhat powering, yeah, his voice, but it's somewhat powering and all that, but not. It's definitely not like it's noticed, but not as like booming. And so it was just very quiet, very reverent, and it's just a very well handled moment, and I was very impressed with it. And again, a lot of the shots in the movie, like especially when near the end, when okay, spoiler alert, when when the he the people of Israel leave Egypt, and just seeing the mass exodus of all these people. It was just like just how it's captured, and even just how it's projected is really good. The home theater presentation was very impressive. Um, it was definitely like the quality of the picture was great. Like I mean, again, I could tell there was a lot of like compositing because of obviously a lot of like green screen and all that. So um, obviously, some of those may not have looked as great, but you can still feel some of that scale. And there's other ones that are captured naturally are just very impressive. And then the sound is actually really good too. And it just helped sell the massiveness on a lot of this stuff. So, if you haven't seen this movie before, I do recommend checking it out. It is nearly 4 hours long, and yeah, picking up on 4K if you're a fan of it, I do recommend that way. This is another one. Okay. The next one is The Master of Ballantrae. This is a movie I watched in my dedicated home theater. It's a movie that's from the Warner Archive collection. Um, okay, let me first talk about the movie. This is a movie that was released in 1953. This is one of Errol Flynn's later movies. I did talk about my experience of watching Captain Blood. This is a movie where he that was made nearly 20 years after that. He definitely looks a lot older here. Um, and but I do feel like he still has the good athleticism for a lot of the sword fights that needed to take place. Overall, the movie, I think, just kind of go into a brief story about a man, I forget what the war like. There's Errol Flynn's characters in Scotland, and his nation's basically in war with I think one of the English nations. I forget, British, I think. I want to say I'm probably wrong on all this. If I am, I apologize. But so obviously it's a war. He gets put in, like I think in the first 20 minutes things happen, and like where he's basically betrayed, and he ends up basically getting put go me him and another one of his good buddies basically ends up on a boat, and like basically by a pirate, and basically becomes somewhat of a pirate. So there is a sense of a pirate aspect to it. They go to, I won't say too much more unless you want spoiler alert kind of thing, um, but yeah, this is like again we do go to like Tortuga or something like that. I probably seen, no, it's one of the isles, and it's we go to Scotland, we go to these one of these like pirate-like islands, basically. Um, Again, I forget the name of it right off the back, and I don't want to mess things up on that. But overall, like the locations we go to are really gorgeous, and especially that pirate-like island is definitely really gorgeous when we go there. It's very well captured. Um, it is a fun one that I think is like, hey, if you enjoy that kind of movie, like like movies from the '50s, Errol Flynn, and has a bit of pirate stuff in it. I think this is a fun movie to watch. I did pick this up on Blu-ray from the Warner Archive, and they do an incredible job on remastering the movies. Because I watched this in my dedicated home theater with a projected screen, and the colors of the picture are very impressive. Like like it looked like, obviously there was a lot of care that went into restoring the picture of this movie, and it looked like the colors and the details looked really impressive, looked really good. So yeah, if you have an interest, and then the sound, it sounded really good as well. Um, it sounded like they did a good job on trying to restore it. So yeah, it is one of those I do recommend picking up, especially if you're a fan of the movie. If you're a fan of the movie, I do recommend picking up this movie on from the Warner Archive on Blu-ray. Um, okay, this next one, it's called The Hidden Universe. This is more of an IMAX documentary, is what it is. Um, I picked up a 4K disc a couple years ago that basically what it is it's a disc with three IMAX documentaries that are more, they declare like adventure related and all that. And so they have the Grand Canyon Adventure, um, Tornado Alley, and the Hidden Universe, or Hidden Universe is what it's called, not the Hidden Universe, Hidden Universe. And this one just more explores the um, various images of the universe that were captured from the telescopes, like from these large telescopes around the world, and they show you what these telescopes look like. And again, I watched this in my dedicated home theater, and just on a large projected screen. The just feeling that scope and scale of these images in these telescopes was very impressive. Um, and again, on the picture, the home theater presentation was really good. It was the like the picture looked great, the sound sounded great and immersive, and so just the images of like the space, of the stars, the galaxies, and all that were really impressive. Um, it was just really cool experience that way. It's one of those like, hey, I if I ever can find like a nearby IMAX theater that ends up playing this again, I'll probably try to check it out that way. But like again, it just reminded me like, hey, I really enjoy watching these IMAX documentaries because again, I remember watching these growing up as a kid, and they were always really cool. So anyway, that's my I do recommend like if you like these IMAX documentaries, I do highly recommend trying to find this disc. I don't know if it's available at a good price. I didn't really look up to see how well available it is now. It might be a hard one to find, but if you find it for a good price, I think it's worth picking up, especially if you like IMAX documentaries. All right, the next one is Black Widow. Um, Obviously, um, in case you guys haven't heard, at the end of the year, we're getting a new Avengers movie called Avengers Doomsday. And obviously, the last one we got was Avengers Endgame, which is back in 2019. And that was basically the close of the Infinity Saga. So we're now in the multiverse saga. Um, and as a result, um, again, I did share my thoughts on watching Iron Man, and I'll probably watch some more movies from the Infinity Saga and share them here when I do. But I'm also going to be focusing on just trying to um, watch all the MCU movies within the multiverse saga. So not necessarily Disney Plus shows. I might touch on them from time to time, maybe, but I'm focusing more on the movies themselves. Um, just to make anyway. So and obviously the first one that came out within this saga was Black Widow. And I remember this movie going through delays, and I was like I remember really anticipating, and as each delay happened, I obviously was just like, oh come on, I want to see this kind of thing. But I remember being really excited to see it, and definitely it was definitely a very good movie. I definitely really enjoyed it, but obviously I wanted some time after watching it to rewatch it, and I felt like, hey, this felt like the perfect time to. It's been like 5 years, close to 5 years since it was released, and I wanted to like rewatch it and just more like maybe not be consumed by the hype going into the movie, but more just the story that they were trying to tell, and it definitely just being able to remove the hype of it, just being able to appreciate the story that was told here. Um, just obviously, there's a darker nature to it. Those that have watched it, I think, understand what I am referring to, and but how Black Widow's journey in that helps shape, in my mind, how a lot of the decisions that were made in the last two Avengers movies helped flesh that out just a little bit. And but overall, just again that just the personal story about just a small like her small little family that she has formed, and all that, and just trying to reconnect with all that, and trying to bring down like a bad organization and save and just save a group in a particular area. So this is not like a universe saving movie, or maybe a very large world saving movie, but it is saving this or the people under this organization. Without going into too many spoilers, and you probably know what I'm referring to, though. I think when I'm using these words. So anyway, I watched this one in my dedicated home theater, and this was in 4K Ultra HD. Um, and the picture quality and the audio quality were really good. The home theater presentation was really good. Um, like the picture looked really good with the colors and details, and like it looked like it handled a lot of good sequences rather well. And the sound was in Dolby Atmos, and um, even if there were moments that where it should have had more of a kick to it, it still was still overall very impressive. Like there are moments where it did, like I could still feel its power in certain moments. Maybe in other moments it wasn't as powerful as it should have been, but overall I was very impressed with it, the dynamicness and all that. So yeah, if you haven't seen this, or you haven't seen it in a while, I do recommend checking this movie out. I think it's a good one. All right, this last one I want to discuss is A Bridge Too Far. Um, this is a war movie, or World War II movie, that was released in 1977. Um, so it's basically let me make sure I get the director's name, but it's got a huge cast to it, and it's got Sean Connery, Michael Caine, Gene Hackman, Anthony Hopkins, James Caan, Robert Redford. Um, let's see, Ryan O'Neal. I think I said that name right. It's got a large cast to it, so it is. And again, just to be honest, it's not like all these ones are like again Robert Redford's role. He does play a role in it. His role is not as big as some others. There's some that definitely have more of a presence in it, but it's more like it's basically a bunch of groups of people, and what they're trying to do is they're um, trying to basically invade. Let me read what I wrote. It takes this is during the Operation Market Garden in September of 1944. For those that are familiar with their World War II history, probably know what that is. Um, and this is where the American and British armies work together to try to take control of the bridges in the Netherlands to try to invade Germany. So they're trying to win the war. And so basically, I won't go into too much more beyond that. Um, but yeah, like I said, it's basically all these people are not like some of them are more bigger players than others. Like I'd say Sean Connery has like more of a bigger role. Michael Caine's probably more not that big. Robert Redford's not that big of a role in the movie. Um, obviously you're gonna know when he shows up, and yeah, again, like all like it's. I don't want to go into too many details. Those that probably know the history of this probably know how this ends. So, um, I this is just one of those like again. I went in. I don't know my World War II history very well, so I went in kind of just taking it all in as it unfolded, and it definitely gave me a lot to think about. Um, oh yeah, I also wanted to talk about the movie was directed by Richard Attenborough. Um, he did direct Gandhi, and for those that probably know him a lot better, he was in Jurassic Park. He was the owner of Jurassic Park. So, um, but overall, this was like I really liked this movie. I really enjoyed it. There were definitely just it, I think the scale of like the spoiler alert drop the sequence where a bunch of the army men are dropping at the beginning of the movie, um, and just how impressive that was captured and everything. And see, yeah. So and then just like even one of the like another spoiler alert as this takes place later on when the American army are basically crossing the river, and there's like the sequence where you're focusing on the people that are trying to um, get to cross one side to the other, and you got the German armies shooting at them, and just you're focusing back on them on their level as they're crossing, and then to pull back at certain moments to see how massive the scale is, but also you're getting personal, just like feeling that like the intensity on their side is just well captured and just all that. Again, those are just a couple of sequences, and just how there's one moment where you're hearing a tank from a far distance, and you're slowly hearing it build up. Um, and this all goes to just the impressiveness of this home theater presentation. This is a movie I picked up on 4K Ultra HD from Kino Lorber and watched in my dedicated home theater, and it was well presented with the picture looking really good. It did have quite a bit of grain on many shots, but looked like it was well intact, and it looked like the details and colors looked good. And the sound was really good, especially in many of these battle sequences. Or yeah, so overall, this is one I was very impressed with. And those that are a fan of this movie, I do highly recommend picking up this movie on 4K Ultra HD. For those that are into World War II movies, I do recommend trying to check this one out. Um, I think it was a very intriguing account that was presented. Okay, those are my movie reviews for the day. Um, the question of the day is for those that probably tuned into CinemaCon, probably heard the word Infinity Vision. So basically, when Disney was presenting their slate of movies coming to theaters, if you heard some of the announcements, they when they discussed Avengers, the re-release Avengers Endgame, and also releasing Avengers Doomsday, they declared a new so in relation to premium large formats. They basically declared Infinity Vision. So basically, it's not like a new premium large format that's being created or anything like that. I consider this more in terms of something close to THX. So, Infinity Vision, what is it? It's a certification basically declaring that these premium large formats have the best picture and the best sound to be able to present the best possible viewing experience for these movies. That because again, a lot of these movies are created to um, with the best of the best in mind. So, which is why a lot of these movies kind of push for IMAX, since IMAX is kind of viewed as the best of the best. And again, like there's premium large formats are basically working to calibrate to get the most immersive sound as well as the most bright and detailed picture projected on the screen and everything for all of us. And so Infinity Vision's basically a way of them just certifying that, like, hey, these are the ones that will basically give you this infinity vision, basically. So that's what that basically is, or that's how I understand it. If I've missed out on some details, I'll try to flesh those out on a later episode, but hopefully that makes sense. Um, Anyway, I really appreciate you again tuning into Movie Theater Explorer. This is Brent once again for your movie theater explorer, and thank you for your time. Whether you listen to one episode or one review, listen to a bunch of the reviews, or listen to all of it, or even just for 2 minutes and just tuned in to hear, I just appreciate your time and thank you for tuning in. Again, this is Brent, Movie Theater Explorer, signing off.